Hi everybody, my name is Rey Perez and I've been a weightlifter since my sophomore year, so I've been lifting for 3 years. This is a presentation on the bench press, and by the end of the presentation, my goal is that you guys will be familiar with a little bit of the history behind the bench press, as well as some of the benefits and actually how to develop strength in your own bodies. So the first thing I'm talking about is how the bench press is a commonly performed movement. All right, it's a very common exercise, and the whole goal of the bench press is to increase upper body strength. When a lifter performs the bench press, they will lie their back on the bench, and they'll place their feet directly under them, and they'll place their hands on the bars, making a line with their thumbs. Right, they'll touch the line, and they'll wrap it around, and then they'll begin the movement. Now, real quick, how many of you have ever benched before? Raise your hand. Quite a few of you, right? All right, now keep your hand raised if you guys perform this movement for a particular sport. All right, still. So, as you can see, most people perform the movement for sports, all right? It's a great movement to build strength. If you play football or basketball, you run, anything of those sorts, it's a great exercise. And hopefully by the end of this, I can convince some of you to maybe take part in it. Now, the creation of the bench press. So, a lot of people may argue that the bench press was first created when Greek soldiers would perform upper body resistance movements such as push-ups in order to build strength. But arguably the actual creator of the movement is George Hackenschmidt, who in 1899 first performed the first recorded bench press. Now, how the bench has evolved. The bench has changed quite a bit since this time. There's many different variations of the movement, and one of the first variations was the floor press. The floor press is a movement where you lay on the floor and you push the weight away from your chest. Now, the floor press, as an effective of a movement that it is, was very unpopular back in the day for powerlifters. If you have any idea why, it's because of the fact that it's a lot more difficult than the regular movement, and the whole idea behind powerlifting is to have a higher total. And by performing a more difficult movement, the total is decreased. The other phase was bodybuilding. Bodybuilding, which basically the goal behind it is to put on as much size as possible, was not very particular about the bench press at first. Until around the 40s and 50s, where they started realizing that having nice pecs actually made you look more attractive or appealing. So, that leads us to the modern bench press, which began around 1973 when the International Powerlifting Federation was first created, or IPF. This was where basically the whole bench was surrounded around the idea of pushing as much weight as possible off your chest for one repetition max. Now the benefits of the bench press. The bench press actually, believe it or not, increases strength. All right, so first thing you can look at are people who can't perform bodyweight movements, such as push-ups. People who struggle with push-ups, often enough, begin doing the bench press with lighter weight to build enough of a foundation of muscle to be able to then perform push-ups. Other people, on the other hand, do power building, right? They lift to increase their strength, such as powerlifters, right? That's another great function of the bench press. Then we'll go on to explosiveness. So, the whole idea of explosiveness is making your muscles able to contract faster and then release more power, right? So, when you train your body and you train your muscles to contract faster, you release more energy in a shorter period of time, which makes you stronger. Then, for overall health, we have bone density. Your bone density is increased when lifting. And this is a huge benefit because that means your bones are stronger, which means that now you have a smaller chance of actually damaging or breaking your bones. Also, your posture will be improved due to the fact that now you have a more well-rounded build, you have more control of your body. You can actually have better posture, which helps you become more efficient when you run. And running more efficiently due to posture actually saves energy and time. Now, strength training. We're going to take a look real quick at a video technique I recorded of one of my friends. Alright, So, first thing you notice is he sits down on the bench, right? He takes a seat, and then he begins to lay down. Now he's going to place his feet directly under his body, right? And then he's going to take his hands and he's going to grab the bar, and he's going to put a thumb distance away from each line. And he'll begin the movement when the judge says begin. Once he begins, he bring it to his chest, and he won't push it off until the command press was given. Then we will push it off his chest, and he'll rack it once the command rack is given. Now, the concepts behind strength: high intensity and low volume. High intensity being having a large amount of resistance or heavy amount of weight, and then low volume meaning less repetitions. By doing this, you're forcing your body to grow more fast twitch muscle fibers, which basically means you release more energy and you're more explosive in a smaller period of time. Then we look at a diet. A proper diet of somebody who lives should contain a high amount of protein and carbohydrates, and perhaps even a high amount of calories. The reason behind that being recovery. A suggested amount being 45% of your carbohydrates or body sugars, 35% would be proteins, and 20% fat. And then all in all, I really hope that this has opened your eyes a little bit to the bench press and maybe even some other powerlifting exercises. If not, perhaps you're interested in the history or the health benefits, or even just strength training just for the fun of it or competing. But I hope that it did open up your eyes a little bit. Any questions?